Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play team. This actual play uses the Coriolis rules by Free League Publishing. This actual play is performed by adults and contains adult themes. Strong language, powerful factions, and adventures across the third horizon await. All content, including names, places, events, companies, and etc., which may bear resemblance to entities living or dead, is strictly coincidental. My name is Michael Diamond, and for tonight's game, I will be your storyteller. Thank you for joining us again on another episode of the Old Ways podcast. I'm your storyteller, Mike Diamond, and my pronouns are he, him, and we are back with our Children of the Periphery series, our Coriolis Chronicle for the Old Ways podcast. I am joined by some amazing cast members. We'll get to their introductions shortly. And for the moment, I just want to say thank you for listening. And a special thank you for our Patreon supporters who are assisting this show and other shows on the Old Ways podcast. We'd love for you to check that out, what we have to offer on patreon.com/the Old Ways podcast, and then jump over to YouTube and subscribe there for all of our live and recorded video fun. And now we'll get to our introductions. To my right.
This is Morgan. I play Captain Amara Kasra. Our pronouns are she, her, and we're still stuck on a planet, and the locals do not seem friendly.
I mean, I think that's all sort of perspective, but I think you could probably draw less than trustworthy, less than favorable. To the captain's right.
Hi, this is Ali, and I play Kainat Gala. Both of our pronouns are she, her, and I worked very hard with Vida so that we could try to get a signal out, but it might all be for naught.
Indeed, it might, at the end of the table.
Hi, I'm John. I'm playing Vida, ship's mechanic. We both use the pronouns he, him. And Kainat worked really hard. I just got kind of lucky.
Yeah, story of your life, right?
Sometimes the luck is good, sometimes the luck is bad, but it's luck no matter what.
Well, you last game in character invoked Kenny Rogers, so we'll see how far that gets you. To fight us right.
Hi, this is Rena. I play Tamarisk and Vari. Both of our pronouns are they, them, and I don't like it here.
I think that's a good summation. Last but most certainly not least.
Hello, I am Rosie of Odd Duck Dice, and I am playing Icarus. Our pronouns are both she, her. And Icarus is once more doing a lot of really new things.
Yeah, stretching, right? Stretching as a character is important.
Yeah, you know, it's very important to try new things, and she is probably going to enjoy some of them more in hindsight. Right now, it's a lot scary.
Yeah, I think that's a good analog for a ton of experiences in life. I think it's there's a philosopher's edge to that idea. We'll see how it works out for you. So we're going to raise the curtain tonight in space, the dark, vast portion of space, where Icarus, ship's pilot, and friend of ship's AI, Rakham, has been making her way, slowly but surely, into a position where she can connect a secondary communication port from the ship to the cradle. Rakham explained to her that it was pretty clear he needed to be able to communicate in a different way to the station, and he sort of led her to where she can make that happen. And so now, poised on the edge of the ship, transferring to the cradle, it's going to be important for our pilot to make the proper connection. You're going to need to make me, to begin, a wits observation roll to be able to locate the port and then properly connect the two devices.
Would her targeting scope help her locate the port if she can get a description of it from Rakham?
Yeah, I think you can add your die for your targeting scope. I think you probably don't need as much of a description from him because you can look at the end of the data cable and see, oh, okay, yeah, sort of shape. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yahoo! That's 3 successes.
Okay, critical success. So the targeting piece that you have installed, that sort of gives you a little bit extra when it comes to some of your observations and well, frankly, when you need to target things. It picks out the shape, the geometric shape, pretty easy. And you realize that all you have to do is float over there and connect.
Yeah. Okay. This is just like jumping from the canopy of one tree to another. There's just not that spring to it, and there's still predators. That's fine. This is I did this all the time as a kid. This is fine.
Right. Rakham in your ear says, now, bear in mind in your calculations when you jump that the force of gravity will not pull you down at all. So don't aim too high and don't aim too low. If you miss this, it will be hard pressed for me to assist you.
Thank you for the reminder. Here I go.
Okay, so this is a strength force roll. I am going to introduce a complication into this roll.
Ooh, bring it.
I think it'd be fun. And I'm going to say that when you jump, it is only after you jump that you realize that the cable might not be long. So you're going to encounter this complication mid-jump.
Yep.
But there is a way around it. And so if there are enough successes, you'll be able to countermand it.
Until she reaches that complication, it's not going to occur to her to remove her lifeline. Let's be honest. Not happening. It's 2 successes.
Okay, so that's enough to get the success with the complication in place. So you leap into open space, and forgive my pun, but the gravity of the situation doesn't hit you until mid-jump. And you realize that the lifeline cable that you're attached to begins to pull hard against your suit. And unless you release it, you will not be able to connect this port.
Where's the cable attached to her?
Lumbar portion of your back.
She reaches behind and releases it. I'm hoping it's just a twist or something you can do with one hand.
Yeah, you can definitely do it with one hand. Immediately, Rakham's voice says, it is dangerous to go without a lifeline.
I'm not going to make it otherwise.
You detach it, and you continue to sail with that momentum you'd built up with the cable, communication cable in hand. We'll just say a swimming bed of what looks like ship's station drones that are hanging out under the station, scanning, waiting. But there are no sounds to give your position away, not even when you softly click the magnetic hand and foot portions of the suit onto the side of the cradle here and are in position to plug in the comms cable.
Okay. How good was my aim?
Good enough that you can probably reach it within, a reasonable amount of distance. You do realize that the lifelink cable is gone now, and so after you connect it, you're either going to have to find a way, like ride this cable back to your lifelink, or find another way to get back towards the periphery.
Well, she's going to sort of, with her mag gloves, work her way over to where this needs to be plugged in, fit it in, make sure that does she need to cap it in or anything like that, or is it just a insertion?
And so it's an insertion, and then there are 2 flanges on the side of the cable that are supposed to get pressed against the inside portion of this collar to hold it in place. It's really just a safety ring, but safety regulations would tell you to connect and secure the cable.
She does that, especially because her plan from there to get back to the ship is to push off from the station, but have one of her hands sort of on the cable, or both her hands probably, sort of on the cable, pull herself along. There's no gravity, so she doesn't have to worry about being too heavy for the cable. She can use it as a guide, and she's seen animals do stuff like this. This is fine.
Yeah, sure.
She's never had the opportunity, but only because there was gravity. This is new.
Totally new. So you click it into place, and you hear Rakham in your ear say, well, that's new.
What is?
There's a bunch of information coming in. One moment. I'm counting 2,400 security alarms.
Okay.
You see them pan over the helmet. Like your helmet has a heads-up display that begins to stream a bunch of small text, red lines over and over and over.
Oh, this is fucked. Okay. All right, I'm gonna get back on board and we can figure out what to do.
It seems the elevator is no longer allowing passengers up. All of the outbound routes have been closed by the security computer.
Okay. Do you think that's something we can work on from the periphery? Or should I not come back on board and see if I can get into the station from here and get the elevator working from inside the tower? That makes sense to me.
It might be possible to find a hatch on the external port of the station to gain entry to the inner portions. One moment. Yes. It's not far if that's what you choose. You can move along the cradle there towards the station on the upper bar part of it until you reach the main portion of the swing arm, about 15 or so meters from your current position.
Well, I'm going to do that. If you don't hear from me once I take the suit off, I assume I'm fine because I was taking the suit off and that's the plan.
Simply go into the helmet and take the earpiece with you.
That's a better idea. Thank you, Rakham. Yeah. Okay, here I go. By the way, I really thank you for your help. Thank you.
Of course. We'll need to make communication connection with our crew on the ground. It's assumed then that they've attempted to leave the planet and have been unable.
Yeah, that would make sense.
They could be in duress. Speaking of our crew on the planet, things have changed a little bit in the environment that they're in. They have managed to begin a hardware and software reroute for the communication station, but it seems that their grand plan of getting off the planet is going to be interdicted slightly by the arrival of a series of people who are, well, now that you look at it, 2 or 3 segments away from having regular contact with humanity off planet. So, Captain, you can only imagine that the people who are coming your way are not pleasant. So you've made the call, hey, we got to get out of here. And so what we'll do is I'm going to utilize this wonderful D10, and I'm going to determine how many rounds it will take Kainat and Fida to correct their little jury rig. We'll see how long you got, okay? All right. That is a 5. We'll say that the train is about 3 rounds from arriving. So while the technical crew has no idea how long it will take their welcoming committee to arrive, Captain, you know how long it's going to take them to arrive, but you don't know how long they are from fixing it. So y'all will have to sort that out. I'm sure it'll be a great time.
Yeah. I look back again. Hey, how much longer on this? We don't have much time till our new friends arrive.
I'm not sure exactly because there's some fine tuning that has to happen to make sure that everything's going through like it should be.
Yeah, and then once she's done something, I have to accommodate the frequency on the transmitter, so might take a second.
Fida, when you say it might take a second, you hear someone far in the distance scream like a war cry.
And there's just a beep, and he's just like, Captain, do we have a second?
Not really, but we're going to need it. Mike, is there any consoles around where emergency stop buttons or anything like that?
Oh yeah, there's a shitload of controls at the array back here, but you have 0 idea what they do. I mean, to put it in perspective for you, the player, You are in the one of the nervous systems of a major transportation area of a metropolitan station. So the question, are there controls? The answer is most definitely yes. The other question is, do you know what they do? Absolutely not.
Is there any labels on them?
Yeah, sure. There are labels on them, right? But there are also redundant control after redundant control after redundant control. So which track are you moving? Which station are you adjusting? There's just a lot of unknowns.
Yeah, hurry up back there. I don't know how to operate this thing.
Neither do I.
If you insist, I can just do it right now. I mean, all I have to do is figure out the exact point in space that the ship is and then accommodate accordingly. And I just happen to know that. No, I need Kainat to do the work, and then I need to accommodate. I don't know if we can outrun a train.
Not only can we probably not outrun a train, but if we don't get this more or less exactly right, it won't matter if they're here or not. 'Cause at that point, we're probably fucked anyway.
Is there an AI in the train station? Would they have an AI integrated?
Not that you can tell. I mean, there are multiple chairs here, so people did at one point sit here. I'd be willing to give you Wit's technology roll to figure out something like that, like how to stop the incoming train that's coming in. It would be with a complication, so it would require more than one success.
I got 3 successes.
So this isn't something that you figure out. This is more of a, hey, what's this button do? And you press a couple of buttons. This, by the way, for you, Kaina, and you, Fida, this is like watching somebody stick their hand in boiling water. You're mid-work on your project, and someone sticks their finger in the middle of this souffle, and you're just expecting the whole thing to just become one deflating, farty mess. That does not happen, because whatever button the captain presses, there's a red light that comes on, and then a horrifying screeching sound begins happening outside. Like teeth chattering, ear piercing, metal on metal sound.
Well, that buys us a little time. Hopefully.
Well done, Captain. I knew you could do it.
Pressing buttons, Fida. Pressing buttons.
Okay. So we'll say that you've bought yourself a little time. Tamarisk, you can hear from outside this space. I'm imagining you're probably have pulled back a little bit with the captain to not be exposed. You can hear that there are still sounds in the station. There are still people on that train. It looks like some of them they're disembarking from the train. They're way down the station line, but they're making their way towards this room.
Looks like our passengers are disembarking and headed for their destination on foot. Take them a little bit longer, but they're still headed here.
Yeah, hopefully that means that we've got enough time to get the signal out. Even if we can't receive anything, at least that'll hopefully give the Periphery a pinpoint on our location and maybe be able to provide assistance.
That would be helpful. I'm not the most useful in this sort of hand-to-hand situation.
Don't worry, Tamarisk, neither am I. We'll just, he just kind of trails off. He doesn't have an idea. He's just back to tuning transmitters.
Captain, there's no other exit from this room. So whatever is being done will have to finish, and then the 4 of you will have to leave this room. Otherwise, you'll be blockaded in.
Wonderful.
So at this point, Vida, you and Kainat's, we'll just say, workaround is finished, and you put it into place. Vida, you have to decouple the signal transmitter base station and essentially fit your workaround, your physical workaround, to get around a series of relay banks that were keeping it essentially hard locked closed. You do so. Kainat, your data gin work deconstructs the the current language that the system's running on and forces it to run on a language which you can interpret and utilize. And the signal meter in the room, the little icon, the little LCD readout and the signal icon, which was, at 0 with, 0 decibels of strength, it begins rising the meter goes all the way to the top. And so it looks like you have communications from the base station here at full power, which you would think would be able to hit the space station where the elevator's connected.
Interpreting what you said, does that mean that we might be able to essentially communicate, quote unquote, with the elevator and use the elevator?
So your interpretation of it, I can clear it up for you a little bit. What you believe you'll be able to do now is communicate from here to the space station. And you think if you can get connected to the station communication-wise, the periphery is connected via the cradle to just not anything that Icarus has done, but you would know that the communications with the ship is routed to the station. So that way, when you're on station, you can still communicate with the ship.
Okay.
So you've basically circumvented the entire elevator span, right? So that relay doesn't matter anymore. You don't have to worry about that portion of it, and you can talk directly to the station now.
And through the station, get through to the periphery.
Ideally, yes.
Yeah.
Hey, Captain, just so that we are able to get out of here quickly, do you want me to just send a continuous SOS up to the periphery?
Yes, because we do need to get out of here before whomever those people are get here.
Okay. Dear storyteller, is there a way for me to just put a message on repeat?
Oh, certainly. I mean, you can initiate through the terminal here what is in effect an emergency message.
Okay.
And that message will broadcast on any open channel. It's an automated message, so it's a recorded voice that comes over the airwaves. And then there's also text that goes along with it for any message, anyone potentially receiving a message that deaf and or have a hearing impairment.
I wouldn't even address the periphery like in the message, just because that way we're slightly less traceable to where we're trying to go. And I'll just send Icarus SOS and just put that on repeat. All right, let's go.
All right, let's go.
Where are you going?
The opposite direction from those folks that are coming down the train tracks.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will give you this little piece of information. So if you're going to go away from where they're coming from, you're going to end up going back towards the space elevator. Or if you want, you could head out into the buildings and or other habitats that are around this space in the hopes of losing them or essentially hiding from them.
Are they going to see us if we come out when we come out of this area?
Probably, yes.
And then we should lose them in the city area, like where the buildings and...
We don't want them following us directly to the space elevator in case we get it working, because then they just come up after us and then we have bigger problems.
Yeah, punks in space. Okay. So if you're going to attempt to evade, then that is definitely going to be agility infiltration for all of you.
2 successes.
Somewhat fittingly, no successes.
'Tis fitting.
Also, no successes. We're real sneaky, John.
Yeah. Oh, my spanners keep clattering.
Amara also has 0 successes.
Okay. So the nice part about this for me, the storyteller, is that if one person fails, it sort of damns the whole group. But if 3 people fail, y'all done fucked up. So you exit out of the station and then quickly hustle back towards the street. And it's fairly clear within your first, say, 5 or 6 steps that the ruse of you blending in did not work. And now a mob of people are coming after you. Let's let the dice decide how many there are. So we'll say that there are 9 individuals who are going to attempt to close in on the 4 of you. They are all carrying some type of, well, we'll just say melee weapon of sorts. Whether it be a pipe or whether it be some type of knife, that sort of thing. A makeshift melee weapon.
This is working great.
And what we're going to do, actually, is we're going to go into initiative to help determine who goes first and when. What I'll have you do and report in order is your initiative. And then to save time, on my side, I'm going to make a single roll for all 9 of them, and that is the initiative that they'll operate on. Because that's not at all unbalanced.
No, not at all.
And the way this will work is provided you all have higher initiative scores than those folks do, you'll be able to keep running. Go ahead and roll a d6 and tell me what you get in order.
Amara got a 3.
I got a 5.
Vida got a 5.
I also got a 5.
Ooh. I got a 1. So you'll all go before the NPCs go. If you are going to flee or continue to flee, and my sneaking suspicion is that you will, I would like an agility dexterity roll to tell us if you are successfully making your way away from them. I'm happy to also take other dice rolls, like if you were going to attempt empathy or manipulation or empathy and command to try to talk these folks out of murdering you, which seems to be their intent.
No, I'm just going to run for my life, thanks.
Not a problem.
Yeah, me too. That sounds like a good plan. Oh, dear.
1 success for Vida.
You continue to run for your life.
1 success for me running as well.
You also continue to run for your life.
Can I reroll?
Oh, certainly you can.
Take all the darkness points because I want to reroll. Oh, that's much better. I got a whole success.
Captain?
I'm going to run for my life. I got 1 success.
That is enough. So what I will do, in all fairness, is I will make an agility dexterity roll for them as a group, and I will determine whether or not they can keep up with you running. So if they don't keep up with you, then the chase is over effectively. At least it seems that way. But I'll be utilizing a darkness point to give them more dice, because that seems fun. Thanks for that, Kainat. So they have 1 success. So the chase is going to continue into the next round. I will say, in the distance that you've covered, you're headed into the buildings and spaces beyond the metro station, is to not lead them back to the space elevator, yes? Who here has the highest empathy?
I have empathy 4.
Me too.
Same.
Same.
So let's see, in order it would go 1 and 2 is Kainat, 3 and 4 is Vida, and then 5 and 6 is Tamarisk. We'll roll that. Oh, and that's Tamarisk. Okay, so Tamarisk, while you are running, you locate a building you believe would be a good place to slip in and hunker down at and possibly lose this crowd. It's about 2 buildings up on your left, and you're fairly certain that that door is big and bad enough to keep just about anything out.
Everyone, I think we should make for that building. I'll point to it as we're running. I think we can give them the slip if we're careful, but we can't just keep running across town. This place is huge. We need to lose them somehow. So, shall we go?
Lead the way.
Yes.
Go, 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 go.
Okay, so now we'll make a second, agility dexterity roll versus their opposed agility dexterity, and we will determine whether or not you can make it to that building.
2 successes.
Okay, John?
No successes.
Okay. Would you like to reroll any of those dice?
No, I'm willing to try and figure out another solution for myself.
Interesting. Captain?
I have 2 successes.
Very good. Tamarisk?
1 success.
All right. Don't have any more darkness points that I'm going to use here. I certainly have more. I'm just not going to use them. Okay. So they didn't get any successes on their roll, which means the crew loses them, except for Vida, who trips on his way through the street as you make the corner into the door and falls flat on his face, essentially about 5-10 feet or so from the opening. During said failure, you see something fly overhead It is a machine. It looks like some type of drone. And you see a light come on the drone, and then a sort of flashlight-esque light appear on the bottom of it. You, sir, have been spotted.
Oh, that's so much worse. He just looks up at it and, like, on the ground, prone, looks into the headlights. He's just like, oh, oh no. And then he's going to get up and try and run. But not towards the shelter where the others are. I know where they are, and I grew up rough on a space station as a kid. I know what you do when the rest of your gang is safe. You run another direction.
You do. You begin running another direction. As you run another direction, you start seeing the veritable walls close in. You see these people begin blocking passages as you go. You go from one avenue to the other, and they slowly and methodically, like ravenous dogs, trap spaces off. You get an up-close look at some of these folks now, too. And several of them do wear face coverings, whether they be sort of stodgy old gas masks or something to protect their faces, or whether they be full-on face masks like you might find at, a sports store or something like that. They carry anything from spears to clubs. One gentleman has some sort of meat cleaver, some sort of butchery tool. There's no clearly defined leader amongst them, at least as far as what you can tell at the moment. And they don't give a single inch of space because you are larger than all of them.
That was something I was hoping would come to my aid here, and it has not. All right, I've got it. I can't fight all these people. Like, I'm not even a good fighter anyway. I'm gonna go up.
Okay.
I'm gonna bust into a building and go up.
Interesting. You bust into a building. You get followed like by was in effect a pack of hungry dogs that come after you. So you're racing through this building to try to find a way up. Yeah, give me a quick whips observation to see if you can determine where you would get to a higher point at.
All right, 2 successes.
Oh, okay, great. So you bust into this building and you find that it has what are effectively stairs that lead up to a second floor loft space. You know, if you continue your pathway up the stairs, you can find a window that would get you out onto what is effectively a roof to maybe minimize some of the problems there.
This brings the drone back into play, I think, which is not going to be great, but is definitely better than the people that I'm not sure won't eat me. You know, I'm not sure that they'll just kill me and take my stuff.
You might be right. You get onto the roof, and you can see the drone. It's sort of buzzing around the space and the neighborhood. It doesn't look like it's solely focused on you at this point, but with your view now of the street level, there's way more than 9 people. That train was probably carrying 2 score. There's probably 20 people in the space now. And we pick up on a couple things. Most of their clothes are old and ripped, many of them mud or blood-stained. They do have a somewhat discolored flesh. So some of it is paler. I mean, they're generally unkempt and dirty people. Anyone that can grow facial hair has grown it. It's been what is in effect 3 months. So, and these folks are hungry, John.
They got a big old slab of fighter.
Oh, yeah. They're just going to eat what they want and ride the rest home.
Yeah, Fighter looks at all these people around him, you know, around the building he's in, and he's just like, I don't have much choice. And he's going to try and jump to another nearby building. His only hope is that he is healthier and fitter than all of them. That's the only thing he's got left at this point. He's just trusting the strength of his body.
I like the moxies, though. So that's strength force to jump.
So I roll 6 dice because strength is also pretty good for me. 3 successes.
Critical success. You leap from one building to the other without any issue. It does cause some panic below, and all of them begin to reposition around the next building that you're on. This building is not as tall, but it is maybe a little bit more defensible because it doesn't have a natural way up here. The people below are beginning to throw things at you, though, like whether that be rocks or bricks. They're looking for some way to incapacitate you.
Vida knows that one of these to the head. He's already had enough hits to the head in the last couple of days to realize it could kill him. To be honest, the plan is to try and keep a low profile so they can't see where he is, and cover his head with his forearms as best he can, and try and look around and assess what's on this roof with him. You know, he's just like, is there a way I can make this more defensible? Is there an antenna that I can use as a spear if they try and climb up the edge?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. We'll sort of leave you hunting for your survival mode supplies there on top of the roof. We'll pan just slightly over to the building which the captain, Tamarisk, and Kainat were able to find and able to secure and get into. And you're able, those of you who are choosing to, are able to watch this happen from some of the windows in this place.
Oh dear.
I'm immediately going to try to find a way to the roof.
Okay. Yeah, you can find a way to the roof here.
Okay, I am going to try to find a vantage point, or I'd like to locate an vantage point where I can help pick off some of these people that are chasing down Vida.
Okay. I don't think that's terribly hard. Like, Vida has all of their attention at this point. Why don't you give me, I guess, wits observation, say visual cue.
I got 1 success.
Okay, 1 is all you need. The only trouble with picking some of them off, Captain, is going to be any attention you might raise while doing so. So it's all fine, well, and good to assist Vida, but the numbers here, now that you've gotten to the roof, the numbers here in the streets have grown. There are probably 15, 20 people now in the streets, and they're beginning to look around for cargo containers or things that they could use to build up a stairway to, in effect, get on top of the roof. There are people who are jumping at the edge, jumping from the ground level to try to grab on to portions of the house higher up to pull themselves up. These people are hungry, and they've determined that Vida is their next meal. So I'm all fine, well, and good with you deciding to just start laying down the law, so to speak, but I will let you know that it will come with consequences of drawn attention, and that could be dangerous for the people in your care.
Did we enter a house, or did we enter somebody's apartment, or did we enter a business?
That's a house. That's the space that's here. You guys really haven't had a ton of time to sit around and search and see what's here, but it is a house. It's a vacated house. So there is no food here. The one thing that would be immediately called out that most of you would see is in the main space of this house, there is, in effect, a big plastic sheet that sits over the sink. And it's taped down to prevent use of the sink.
And is the roof flat? A New York City building type flat?
No, it's peaked a little bit, actually. And on each side of it, there are solar collectors.
And we saw which way Vida was running, or I saw which way Vida was running.
You saw which way he was running. You spot him when you get to the roof because you can see which place they've surrounded.
Oh, well, I was hoping it was flat, like New York City building flat, so I could toss something off the side, but it is not.
Arguably, if it was flat like New York City flat, it'd be easier to climb up.
Is it big enough if I yell, is it going to echo?
No, God, no.
Okay.
There's no way for it to echo. Echoes are based off the bounce back effect from structures surrounding something. There's nothing surrounding it at all. There's open air.
Okay.
And so I'm going to leave the team on the planet there, and I'm going to go back to Icarus, who's making her way inside a space station. So getting to that arm that supports the cradle and getting into the airlock of the station is not hard. It's a viable space, and Rakham tells you that he'll have the door open when you get there, so you don't have to worry about that. He suggests that you keep the suit on to have the magnetic boots available to you, just in case there have been any changes to the station system he's not aware of. You get to the door. The airlock door hisses open, and you step into this small chamber. It's like a maintenance chamber. It's a maintenance airlock, so there's a little bit of space here for tools, probably, but really it's basically 2 people and tools. That's it. And then there's the other side of it.
Are there any of those tools present?
No.
Okay.
Good workers don't leave their tools just lying around. I'm going to make a roll for Rakham here, because he can do that. He can make rolls. The airlock behind you shuts, and then the inner airlock door hisses open.
Okay, great. I'm going to see if I can find a control center or something like that operates the doors to the tower itself, and see what we can do from there.
Good. Getting to the control center is going to be paramount. Let me update you with this system schematic that I've got. You see the other side of your HUD overlay begin to show a 3-dimensional wireframe of the station, and then it shrinks down, and then you sort of zoom in to where you're at. And you see the cradle arm, the maintenance access point that you accessed, and then he draws a wire line to what is in effect one of the space station's levels. So you'll need to get out into the open level and then move deeper in towards the core. If the readings here are correct, there's been a number of security alerts from the base of the elevator. It looks like some came maybe 15 minutes ago from what I think is the crew trying to access the elevator itself. There must be something wrong down on the planet.
And she trots off. She's keeping an eye open for other people. She's assuming that if the doors are locked at the base, that she's the only person here. But she doesn't know that.
She doesn't, but getting into the levels of the first level of the station, it's her theory or mental theory is being backed up by the fact that you're not seeing anyone. I'm going to ask you a question. Have you ever been in a mall when there's been nobody in it?
Yes, I lived in upstate New York, so there were a lot of dead or dying malls.
We had them around here too in the Midwest. And so you get that feeling that, I don't want to say liminal space feeling, but you get the feeling that the space station stretches for a long, long way. And although there are lights on, although there is a low level ambient music playing, something peaceful and serene, all of the shops here are empty. All of the product still sits out.
That's eerie. Does it look like people left in a hurry, or does it look like they shut down their shops and figured they'd be back for lunch?
It looks like there's a little bit of a mixture of both. It looks like some of the shops were shut down, right? And then there are some shops that you pass along the way on the promenade levels and that sort of thing that looks like they were torn through. That somebody came and tried to clear them out, and real fast. There's a type A shop and a type B shop here, right? That things happen to.
Okay. Okay. All right. I'm just gonna go. Just gonna get there. Yep. Okay.
You get to a point on the station where the core wraparound decks of this level come to a connection point, sort of this pyramidal point that points inward. And that's where your wireframe directions are sending you. Rakham says the central core of the station is going to be ahead. If there's any sort of resistance or automated defenses, they're going to protect the core first.
She's debating at this point. She's probably going to take the suit off before she goes in there, because if something happens, if there is a defense system, she doesn't want the suit to get ruined as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not. Yeah, she's going to open that door and go in there.
You go into an environment which is wholly and totally different from what you'd seen in the station outside. The floors here are bright and white and illuminated, as is the ceiling. They're juxtaposed by the walls, which are gray. And so everything here is very suddenly clean feeling. Everything seems to be functioning, at least in this hallway. It seems very corporate and very administrative in this space. There's signs on the wall that show where things are at, where, administration, security, that sort of thing, those sort of signs that run around.
Okay. Are there any helpful signs?
What would you consider helpful?
Is there anything pointing towards like maintenance or control center? Like, I'm assuming she's walked into something a little more like an office complex, hallways around what she's actually looking for.
Yeah, bingo. So, right, you've got the right idea. This is essentially a lobby hallway, right? You've gotten past the internal port. If there's no reception desk, you go right into the hallway. You assume that the people who work here know where they're going. And so there's few signs that are actually needed because everybody here knows what the fuck's going on. You're an outsider, and so there's just a placard on the wall with 3 arrows, right? One that says admin, the second says security, the third says engineering. They all point that way.
She goes that way.
Go that way. You get to the first T section, and admin and security fork left, and engineering is right.
So I want to make sure I understand the distinction between what security and engineering would be doing in a facility like this. Security would be operating doors and stuff like that. Engineering would be atmospheric stuff like that.
So I suppose that the devil is in the details there. So security in a space station would likely mean physical people.
Oh, well, then she's going to engineering.
Okay. Engineering is likely all of the hardware and environmental controls, all of the PLCs that sit on the system that run autonomous controls, all that stuff.
All right, yeah, that's where she needs to be.
Okay. You head that way. You are unimpeded until you get to the engineering door, which is card blocked.
Oh, okay. Maybe I go back to admin, see if anyone left their key card or if there were spare key cards. Unless, yeah, that's probably safer than trying to hack it. Hopefully they're not in any real danger.
Hopefully not. So you head back towards admin. That side of the hall, when you turn left and go to security and admin, does seem to branch out a little bit. You eventually get to the fork, which says, left is admin and right is security. That takes you a couple of minutes. It's a little strange in this hallway because there's no overhead music. There's no ambiance like there was out in the spaceport. Everything here is just sort of ship hum noise. When you get to the admin door, which does not have a key card plate, it seems, it does have one very striking thing as you get to that door, and that is a bloody handprint that smears down the outside of the door, like that door frame.
Is that blood dried?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, great. That's fine then. This is fine. Yep, okay. Whatever happened here happened just a little while ago. She opens that door.
Good for her. I'm proud.
And me too.
You open that door. What you see is a line on the floor of several people that have been stacked like cordwood against one of the walls. They have been perforated multiple times by tiny marks, tiny holes that have been placed in them. The holes are in a sort of geometric grid line. It's very perfect.
So something mechanized, lasers, a automated security system.
Yes. Likely. Your comms voice in your ear says, "Curious. Why stack them?"
Do the holes all line up?
Are you asking that out loud?
I'm asking you, the storyteller, as I'm looking at it.
Do they line up? They do make lines. They make a grid pattern if you look at them.
No, I mean, as the bodies, as they are stacked, does it look like the holes line up like they were stacked when they were perforated?
No, they do not line up in that regard.
I would stack them if I was trying to maintain floor space, which implies there's someone here.
All told, in the immediate admin area, there are probably 6 bodies.
And they're all stacked.
They are. They're stacked 3 and 3, and they have been here for some time. You are very fortunate to have a helmet on.
Oh, good. The smell of decay wouldn't be that off-putting to her, though she is used to it happening more in like a moist environment, so dry decomposition might be different. But she doesn't have to find out right now. Are there any signs of someone having been living in the immediate vicinity other than the stacked bodies?
Nope, you find no signs that anyone is living here or has lived here.
She moves farther in.
Okay, it doesn't take you long to get to a row of offices. Furthermore, quick investigation of those offices reveals that people have not been doing work here at the spaceport for, again, probably several different segments. People did leave their work as they left it. Work desks, as they are pretty noticeable when someone walks away from them, right? So you see a lot of work that was just left out. And, quick perusal of some of that work is mostly just the comings and goings of trade on this planet via this station. It looks like this paperwork is 3 segments old. Rakham says, no one has worked in this space in some time.
Yeah. I wonder what happened. We will maybe have time to figure that out later.
We need to acquire a key card.
Yeah. And she starts doing a systematic search for something that looks like a key card that would get her into engineering.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it doesn't take you long, but probably another couple minutes of searching and you find an access card just sitting on someone's desk.
She snags that, and while she's doing that, she's also keeping an eye open for the equivalent of a sticky note under somebody's keyboard with helpful security passwords.
Yeah, unfortunately, the offices that you rummage through don't have any sticky note passwords. But after you snatch the key and make it back to the hallway, you begin hearing a low buzzing sound.
I don't like that.
That's a micro drone. You need to move.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. And she moves faster to engineering, swipes the card, crosses her fingers, and is going to duck in that door and close it and hope that there's not another micro drone on the other side.
You duck in that door super quick. And then you take a breath as you look at the core of the station that sort of expands out and down. And all you see is intricate wiring. And it goes to a series of catwalks and gangplanks that move to a centralized node for engineering work. I'm going to leave you there for a moment and head back down to the planet. Captain, while you're on the roof, something startles you. You hear a chirp from your communicator. Like you hear your comm chirp as if it is trying to connect to a system.
Hey, Mike, how are the communicators? Are they earpieces? Is this Star Trek?
Yeah, so we can kind of do whatever we want in this regards. There are different levels of communicators. And so I think basically the bigger it is, the more space it has to take up. That provides you more range, right? If your communicator is like an earpiece, it probably roughly works in not only in the ship, but a certain amount of kilometers past the ship. If your communicator is something that is a little bit more special than that, then you probably have boosted range and likely other options like being the quarterback for multiple calls into the same space where you could handle, that sort of thing. If you wanted a lapel or clothing mounted communicator, I'm certain you can have one.
Yep, so I will hit the side piece on the side, the on button. Hello?
A couple more chirps come through. You get some somewhat painful static in your left ear.
Kinda. Tamris, can you hear me?
You two can hear her locally.
Yeah, we hear you, Cap.
Apparently communication is working. Icarus, can you hear me?
Yeah, you get no response. When you mention Icarus's name, though, you get more static.
This is so odd. Kainat, Tamarisk, I'm coming back down.
Okay.
I go back into the house.
You go back into the house. Tamarisk, what have you and Kainat been doing after the captain went upstairs and under the roof?
Keeping an eye on Fida as best as possible out the window. Feeling an ethical quandary.
Yeah, it's tough here, right? The people here have the right to be fed and food. It's clear to you that the Autumn House failed these people in some way. Whether it was, their own fault or the fault of others, the society that was built here failed these people.
They have the right to food, but they do not have the right to us as food.
Yeah, that's probably a good summation. It looks like they are beginning to form a ball. The street right around the house that Fida is hanging out on the roof on, they're beginning to sort of pile on one another to make themselves taller to get on the house. You're going to need a solution for Fida, and fast.
Any ideas?
So I bring my portable lab with me anytime we go planet side, because you never know when you might need it. So I'd actually like to do something like what we did before and make, like an incendiary device that necessarily will just be like loud and flashy, or a smoke bomb or something like that that would give a little more chance of helping out Fida, even though it's, less ideal, but have to do something, right?
Okay, yeah. So you're going to cook.
Yeah.
Okay. Cook me up something.
I would imagine that the role would be with science.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I sure lucked out.
Did you?
I have 7 dice and I got 5 successes.
Oh, jeez. Okay, so there are rules for this sort of thing, which are covered, luckily. They are governed by how well you do. We'll call your successes the blast rating. So it's a blast rating 5 device.
Okay.
Or will be when you set it off. That won't be a problem at all, I'm sure. I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it's perfectly fine.
Yeah, well, and the intention is also for me to throw it off of the roof.
Oh.
To kind of land in them as while they're piled up.
Mm-hmm. We'll call the damage 1, but that'll be modified by your successes. And then we'll see if it crits. So that'll be a strength force roll for you to, after cooking, take this explosive charge and head upstairs with it.
Okay.
So why don't you explain what you're doing to your fellow crew members who are watching you concoct something?
Well, I'm ignoring my fellow crew members while I'm working on this, and they're just seeing me pull out like smaller bottles of stuff and like look at labels, and I'm setting some stuff like to one side and other stuff to another side, and they have no idea what I'm doing, really. They just watch me working kind of frantically and as fast as I can, basically without spilling things everywhere. And I pull out, like a smaller empty vial that I normally would use to like collect a sample off of a planet or something like that. And I'm just like pouring 10 different chemicals into this, and I head up to the roof. I'm going to throw this and hopefully, give Fida some breathing room. And when I make it to the roof, in order for it to go off, I'm going to have to shake it. It's a shakeable concoction to create the chemical reaction before I heave it off and hopefully down into the group of people that are just sitting underneath trying to reach Fida. And I got 1 success.
Okay. You launch it. So, Fida, as these bodies have begun piling up to try to get to you, the first couple still jump and fail. And while some of it is almost comical to watch, it isn't comical when you think of that. What they really want to do is eat you. And that's when at the far, a couple buildings over, the far edge of your vision, you see Kaina exit, like get out onto the roof, and she pitches something towards this clot of human flesh that has been dancing here together. And when doing so, it lands and there is a boom that goes off.
I believe Fida is just as surprised, even though he saw this thing fly through the air, as the murderous dystopian cannibals seem to be. That's not what I was expecting, but I'll take it.
So this boom goes off, and when it does, you injure a ton of these people here. It doesn't do a ton of damage just based on what it is. It's really effectively like a small shape charge. It's meant to be, as you said, more scary than damaging. And so when it pops, there's a flash and a bang that goes off. It's sort of just like a group of cats or birds or something. They just scatter into every direction because something scary happened. But that said, I'm going to give a couple of them a roll to see if they get onto the roof or not. Just because I'd like to make John's life a little bit of a living hell. We'll see. Well, that's one. Yep. All I need is one success. So the boom goes off for Fida, and while you cover or flinch or take a little bit of shelter from it, you hear the scratch of human nails against shingles, and all of a sudden, you are beset by a very hungry person, a woman probably in mid-30s, and she would like to find a way to consume part of your flesh because she's really hungry.
Yeah. And as we described earlier, previously, I am a mountain of a man.
You are. Roll a d6 for me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Jesus. A 1.
Oh, I have a 5. Okay. I want to make sure everybody gets an opportunity to make sure that they have some say in this. So, because I know previously that Captain Kazra talked about shooting people if it became necessary. She went back in. I don't know if she had gone back out to watch kind of throw whatever she did, because that sort of happened a little rapidly. If you did, is this a point where you would sort of cross that line?
Yes.
Okay.
Are people attacking Fida?
A person is attacking Fida, yes.
Oh. Yes, I would cross that line to shoot at them.
Okay, so roll me a d6. We'll see where you end.
You got a 4?
Okay, so this person is going to be able to get in and attack you, Fida.
Yep. At least it's, you know what? I was going to say at least it's just one, but one person with a sickle can really fucking ruin your day.
Yeah, she does not have a sickle. She has a small, looks like makeshift knife in her hands. It looks like it's a little rusty.
Oh man, I'm going to need fucking... I'm going to need so many shots after this fucking planet.
Yep, you bet. So that's strength melee combat for her. I'm going to spend a darkness point. Oh, and that's 2 successes. Defending is a fast action, right? So you can defend even when it's not your turn. I only get to defend if I spend darkness points.
Oh, see, that's because I'm a hero.
Yes, we know what that makes me.
And making my character took so long.
Okay, so you can choose to decrease the damage.
Mm-hmm.
You could choose to counterattack. You could choose to disarm. You could raise your initiative, meaning you can say, listen, I'm not going to take any action. I'm going to try to go on 6 next time.
I am going to try and disarm. Because that little knife can do an awful lot of damage.
So if you're going to try to disarm, then since you don't have a melee weapon in hand, you're going to take a -2 modifier to this because it is harder for you to do that.
That makes sense. I'm going to roll my 2 dice. No successes.
Alrighty. No successes. So when melee combat is rolled is successful, I inflict the weapon's damage on my opponent. So let's see how much a nasty, dirty, broken shiv does. Because, well, reasons. Ooh, interesting. Okay, so the damage is 2.
Okay.
And it crits on 2. So I think that means all I need is 2 successes to crit on you.
Which is, I believe, what you rolled.
What I had. Yeah.
I'm not thrilled about this, Mike, but I'm willing to accept it.
You know what that means, kids? Critical injuries. And that means the first roll for this game on the critical injury table. So how we roll this is, is a D66. So that is 2 6-sided dice, and we roll them. We call one the 10s and one the 1s die. And the higher the value, the worse it gets. So that is... I don't even think that's possible. So I'll modify this just a little bit because it wouldn't make sense for you to have broken toes.
I know, Mike. She could be wearing stilettos.
No. So she stabs down on you, and you do your best to sort of cover up, right? So you get a defensive wound. The wound itself does 2 points of damage. Unfortunately for you, when she comes down on your arm with that shiv, she comes down directly on just the bottom of your bicep. And there's a swift pop when she hits you here, and your arm is broken. You are stunned for 1 turn. Afterwards, you have a -3 to range combat and melee combat because you are effectively in pain.
That checks out. That sounds about right for someone who's just got a broken fucking arm.
Yep. She breaks your arm, and now it's going to be Captain Kazra's turn to take her action. You see it. Clearly, Vida reacts in pain. You hear him, I would imagine, give a grunt or howl.
There's a bell, man. You might as well have just stabbed a cow.
And that's your action tomorrow.
All right. I will. Well, the thing about my pistol is that it's short range. So I don't think I'm going to be able to shoot them from here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say that we're definitely at further than short range.
Short range. How far is it to drop off the roof to the ground?
The place that you guys are hiding in is 2 stories tall.
Oh, well then I'm probably not going to jump off the roof. Yeah, I'm going to then, instead of taking any action from the roof, I will go down through the house and out the front door.
So before you do that, Captain, I can give you modifiers using that weapon at a range that is not short. So what I'll say is, if you want to shoot, this would be a short range weapon shooting at long range. I'll give you a -1 to the modifier of that, right? So you'll use 1 less die, and you'll make your roll it that way.
I get no successes.
Okay, so let me ask you, would you like to re-roll those?
Yes.
Okay, we'll take my darkness point.
Can I re-roll both my dice?
Yeah, any failures.
But you only get 1 darkness point, right?
That's correct.
Making sure. I got 1 success.
Okay. You fire. You don't even hear that, Vida. You don't hear it through the pain. Now, how much damage does that pistol do?
It does 2.
Okay. The woman who's attacking you, Vida, stands straight up, like bolt up. And you see that there's a redness forming on what was left of her shirt. She's not fallen over, but she's been struck by something. It is now your action.
Fight is kind of staggered backwards, and he's clutching his broken arm to his, like, he's doing the cradle, where he's trying to stop it from moving. And that's the best he can do right now, as he tries to stagger away from this woman in little shuffles.
Okay. Yeah, you're staggered. She is going to attempt, while you're staggering away, to stab you in the face. Because she's hungry and she's not done. But she doesn't get any successes. So she swings. Captain, you see this woman with this knife swing at Vida again. You can't really see what's happening with him because he's not going down per se, but he's lurching back and definitely in pain. You can see that he's bleeding.
I run back into the house and tell Kainat and Tamarisk that Vida's hurt. Unless Kainat, you're on the roof too. I don't know where you I don't remember where you tossed your flashbang.
Oh, I was on the roof.
So did you view all this as well, or did you run back in the house as soon as you tossed your bomb?
No, I would probably still be on the roof because I would have wanted to see what the results were to see if I needed to go back down and concoct something else.
So with her swinging, what's your play then, Captain? Are you trying to head over the building on foot, or are you going to continue to shoot from long range up there?
No, am I able to jump the roof, jump from roof to roof to get over to him?
I mean, strength force, sure.
I got 1 success.
Yep, 1 success is all you need. So you begin to close range. You can move, and by the end of this action, you'll be able to put her in short range. It is unfortunately going to give her another opportunity to stab Fida, but them's the breaks. That's the choices that you make. And she'll take her action, and then after she does, Fida, you'll finally get your action after stunned. Oh, boss. So I struck you, but with only 1, so there's no crit. You start with a number of hit points equal to your strength plus your agility score.
Yeah, I started with 7.
Well, I'm going to deal you 2 more.
Down to 3. I am not feeling great.
No. Okay. And then at that point, Fida, it's now your action. You've been stabbed multiple times. She's sort of over top of you at this point when she stabs you this time. And you hear her say something like, "You're going to cook up real good."
Look, it's not a nice thing to say, but it's an even worse thing to hear. Fida's not in a position to fight back. He's just going to try and bargain. He is going to just shout out, "I'm an engineer. I can fix your water pump. I can fix your water. I can fix your water."
Okay, so you're going to attempt rational communication. I love this, by the way. I think that this is a fantastic option. I'm not going to say it's going to work.
Oh, I never said it was a good idea. Look, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face, as Mike Tyson said. And a lot of people, when they don't have a plan, they will beg to make something stop. And Fida is not a fighter. He is just a guy.
So I think this is an empathy manipulation roll. And I think it's going to come with some complications.
Yeah, that seems like a given.
So give it a roll, and we'll see how many successes you get. And perhaps you can touch the human portion of this person's brain with your words. And if not, maybe you'll get stabbed.
What's another, though, you know? No success.
That sounds about right. You plead with this person. You plead with her to let you help her as you're getting stabbed. You can hear this, Captain. You can hear Fida essentially bargaining for his life. And it falls on deaf ears as this woman raises the knife again to aim at Fida's head. You can feel her fingers in between all of that hair that you have. Like, her plan is to line you up and make this the kill shot because you're coming home with her. Captain, you have an opportunity here to potentially upset this. How will you be doing that?
Am I in short range now? After getting on the roof?
You're in short range now.
Great. I am going to shoot her again. Can I give you darkness point to run to roll again?
Sure. I would remind you that failed rerolls on darkness rolls are bad.
I got 2 successes.
You shoot her in the back. John, you're covered in gore all of a sudden as the front half of this woman's chest sort of explodes out onto your face, and she collapses, falls like a rag doll off the roof, tumbling onto the ground.
Hey, did I kill that lady?
Fairly certain, yeah.
Like, that sounds pretty fucking brutal. Does that sound like something that would cause me to have to roll against stress damage?
Yeah, it sure as fuck would.
Just a feeling that I have.
So you start the game, right? You start any game, Coriolis, with a pool of mind points, and they're equal to your wits plus your empathy. When you are attacked in combat or when someone tries to use manipulation against you, you can suffer mental stress, which clearly Fida probably has. So we're going to find out.
Mike, what do I roll to get to determine if I resist the...
Stress here doesn't show me other than, I don't know if I just give you stress.
That sounds like it. That's what I'm reading.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. Given the shit that Fida's been through, I'm going to give you 3 points of mental stress. Captain, I'm going to give you 2. And I'm going to give you 1 specifically for, in effect, having to make a judgment call, right? And then on the roof the first time. And the second one is killing somebody.
It really hurt my heart.
Not as much as it hurt her heart. From your vantage point, kinda, the thing that you see that brings your own mental stress is that this planet is waste not, want not. And so not but more than 10 seconds or so after that body hits the ground, there are people coming out to collect it. And they sort of lope towards it, right? Like hands and knees, trying not to get attacked, trying not to get hurt. They start dragging the body.
As they grab the body, are they kind of hanging out to see if there's any more carnage, or are they just kind of retreating because they've got a meal?
I think the latter is probably the case. I will probably veil the rest of that. They leave with her.
Okay. With no stragglers that I can actively see. Okay.
No. Back on the space station, Icarus, you get down to the central core data system, and you see an array of computer terminals in front of you. You see one specific that is rimmed in a red light, and it shows a series of active holds being placed on the elevator to keep it from allowing anything from the surface to go up.
Does it look like removing those holds will cause an alert of any sort? Like, if she removes a hold on the elevator, are there suddenly going to be drones waiting there to mow down whatever shows up?
You're not sure.
Well, then we're going to remove those holds and hope.
Okay. So you go through and start basically using the screen here to remove the holds. In doing so, I'm going to ask for a wits technology roll. You're not hacking it with data gen. This roll for you, for Icarus, is more, do I do things in the right sequence or not?
2 successes.
Okay. So you do some reordering, and the red pane window fades to a soft white after a while. Subsequent screens come up that are fairly simple to click through, right? Would you like to stand down from station alert? Would you like to, you get a bunch of message prompts, and they're asking if you want to put the station back on normal priority.
Yes, with the hope that the droids will stop trying to kill me as I walk back to the ship.
As soon as you alleviate those prompts, folks on the ground hear in their earpieces or comms voice say, Captain, do we have communication back?
Rakham, yes. Yes, we can hear you.
What's your position and situation?
Well, our situation is fucked. Maybe.
Excuse me?
We are in the midst of a fight with the locals who want to eat us. So I'm 2 miles south of the train station.
I see. I'm showing that Icarus has been able to re-engage the elevator outbound. So if you'll get back to the space elevator, you should be able to leave the planet. Or, if that's not possible, I'm certain once Icarus gets back, we could plan a getaway.
If we could hitch a ride.
Certainly. Icarus, you get back through the hallways here without any other security drones, at least following you. You do see a few patrol drones that patrol the promenade now, but they don't seem to be aggressive in any way. You still likely keep a nice distance from them.
I'm very respectful of their space.
Right. In getting back through the normal hatches and passageways, you reboard the Periphery, and Rakham fills you in that the captain is asking for a pickup.
Okay, then let's go do that. You are rated for like terrestrial flying. Like, yeah, okay, great. Don't know why I asked that. I know it's the case. Okay, here we go.
I'm capable of many different functions, including atmospheric flight.
Okay, she shucks the suit and is much happier back in her element and runs up to the flight deck, engages the yoke for that more pinpoint flying, and is ready to rock.
Okay. So I would like you to give me a fairly simple agility pilot roll with the assist of the ship.
That's 4 successes.
Okay.
I remind everybody that this is my biggest dice pool by design, because this is what she's built to do.
So out of the atmosphere, in the sky, there appears a wedge shape for a moment, at least from what you can see visually. Fighty, you sort of hunkered down here on the roof, just trying to stay out of the way, and slowly but surely, the Periphery arrives in atmospheric space and begins hovering over this location. It completely freaks out the people that are here. They scatter from this vessel as soon as they can. They go through and one by one are able to extract you from your locations. Essentially, the cargo hold has to be opened, that back ramp has to be opened just enough to allow you to jump onto it and get out. Likely, it takes a couple of you to help pull Fida on board, and you can tell he's clearly favoring several wounds that he has. But you get on board, and once secure, you leave this planet Dable behind. And that is where we'll call this episode, which hopefully you've enjoyed. So I want to thank my cast for their time and our listeners for their attention. We will see you next time.